there. She feeds the stray cats.
Yeah.
Right when you're going to the park, she's
We'll call the meeting of the regular city council to order on April the 9th, 2018 at 7 p.m. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Venturin?
Here.
Mr. Dembinski?
Here.
Mr. Cowger? Mr. Winarski?
Here.
Mr. Nahorn?
Present.
Mr. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Janik?
Here.
Mr. Winarski.
I'd like to make the motion that we excuse Mr. Cowger, Ramsey, and Patek. My understanding is they all have letters on file.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dembinski.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to excuse Mr. Cowger, Mr. Patak, and Mr. Ramsey. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is carried 6-0. They are excused. And now we ask that you please stand for the prayer led by Chaplain Nahorn and the pledge to the flag led by Sergeant-at-Arms Dembinski.
Please join me in bowing your heads. Gracious God, during this month of April and beginning of the spring season, we are reminded of messages of hope. From a winter season of dark and cold, we now see buds of spring emerging. We welcome these signs of rebirth, renewal, and new possibilities in the weeks and months ahead. And now let the words of our mouths and meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your vision. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go to item 4, the consent agenda.
Minutes of the regular council meeting held March 26, 2018. Minutes of the Building and Lands Committee meeting held April 2nd, 2018.
Mr. Miller.
Move to accept consent agenda as read, please.
Mr. Van Truen.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is carried 6-0. The consent agenda is accepted. Go on to item number 5, acknowledgement of the public pertaining to items on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to speak tonight on any item pertaining to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll go on to item 6, ordinances and resolutions, first reading. Number 6A, please.
An ordinance authorizing the City of Amherst Community Improvement Corporation to act as an agent for the City of Amherst to enter into an agreement to sell a parcel of real estate owned by the city on Terra Lane, subject to the further approval of Amherst City Council.
Mr. Van Truen.
Move to send this on to second.
Mr. Winarski.
I'll second.
Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Venturin?
Yes.
Mr. Dembinski?
Yes.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Nahorn?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 6A is sent to the second reading. For item 7, ordinances and resolutions, second reading, there are none. Item number 8, ordinances and resolutions, third reading. Item 8A, please.
An ordinance rezoning a parcel of land from R1 to C2 located at the intersection of Cooper Foster Park Road and North Main Street, having an area of 4.23 acres and identified as Lorain County Auditor's permanent parcel number 0500021103 097.
Mr. Dembinski.
Move to adopt.
Mr. Miller.
Second, please.
There's a motion and a second to adopt item 8A. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Venturin?
Yes.
Mr. Dembinski?
Yep.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Nahorn?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Motion, the vote is 6-0. Item 8A is adopted.
It'll be ordinance 01817.
Thank you. We'll go on to item 9, miscellaneous and acknowledgement of the public. Mr. Winarski?
Yeah, I'd just like to take a moment here and acknowledge our water department. I had the opportunity to witness them in action today. As I was walking the dog, things appeared to be going astray, so I stopped and I spoke with Mr. Dillon, and he explained that they had hit something, and to their credit, they opted not to shut down water. It was right next to Old Town Pizza. It would have shut them down for the day. What they did is they reduced pressure in the water and they did a live tap. I just can't say enough good things about, just that they took the time. Living in the neighborhood, I hope people appreciate things like that. If they're not aware of it, that's why I wanted to mention this, to make them aware that what they did was, they didn't have to, but they did, because they thought of the neighborhood, and I appreciate it. So tip of the cap to the administration and the water department. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Winarski. We'll go to item 10, agenda requests and committee meeting schedules. Mrs. Savinsky?
I only have one item, Madam President, and that's to finance A1822, an ordinance to add the bid and award of the 2018 street program of an additional $250,000 from account 201-6001-52501 for miscellaneous street improvements and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Dembinski.
Yes, Madam President, I have one item, A-18-22, as read. I would like to call that for Monday, April 23rd at 6:40 p.m.
Thank you. Is that complete?
Yes.
Building and Lands, Mr. Winarski.
Nothing at this time, Madam President. Excuse me. Thank you.
Streets, Mr. Van Truen.
Nothing at this time, please cancel.
Community Development, Mr. Miller.
No items, please cancel.
Executive, Mr. Miller.
No items, please cancel.
Ordinance, Mr. Dembinski.
No items at this time, Madam President, please cancel.
Utilities, Mr. Janik.
No items, Madam Chair, please cancel.
Recycle, Mr. Nahorn.
Please keep recycling.
Technology, Mr. Dembinski.
No items at this time, Madam President, please cancel.
Police and Fire, Mr. Winarski.
Nothing at this time, Madam President.
Annexation, Mr. Van Truen.
Nothing at this time, please cancel.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will go on to item 11, reports of the administration.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jeffries?
No report, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. I'll just give you a quick update on the AMI, the automatic metering program, and how it's going. The electric department has installed ourselves, our own workers have installed over about 1,000 electric meters at this point. They're not we're not getting automatic reads yet. They're just being read manually at this time. The water nodes will be arriving soon, and that'll be the next step, is getting the water meters in the water nodes so that they're talking to the electric meters. But the exciting news, there are 2 gateways, which is the pieces of equipment that's going to collect all the information and send it to utility offices are online to our fiber network, so they are reading electric meters at this time, and somebody from Eaton is coming into town tomorrow for the next days to start actually doing tests on receiving automatic reads to our utility department. So it's really moving along, probably still sometime in August, run live date when we'll be reading those meters automatically. So it's really moving along well. Nothing else, I guess that's in the report, unless anybody had questions about the metering program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Miller.
Move to accept the reports of administration.
Mr. Dembinski.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to accept the reports of the administration. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is carried 6-0. Reports of the administration are accepted. The next item we have is item number 12, acknowledgement of the receipt of the monthly reports from the auditor and the treasurer, which you should have all gotten in your emails. Mr. Miller.
Move to accept the receipt of auditor and treasurer's monthly reports.
Mr. Nahorn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to acknowledge the receipt of the monthly reports from the auditor and the treasurer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is carried 6-0. The receipt of the monthly reports from the auditor and the treasurer is acknowledged. Item number 13, adjournment. Mr. Dembinski.
To adjourn.
Mr. Winarski?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is 6-0. We are adjourned at 7:11. Thank you very much.
And this is
I
quick.
think Madam Clerk of Council, I've just noticed that the 25th is Administrative Professionals Day.